So if you made it to the end or just skipped ahead to this point, thanks for watching anyway. So I'm making dinner now. First thing I do is put the butter in the pan. I like to put the butter in and then put the garlic on top of it so the garlic doesn't get burned in the slightest. I don't really like super charred or dried up garlic on my pan. So I put the butter in and drop the garlic on top, and then when it kind of all melts together, the garlic infuses into the butter. It really works good. So as you can see, my ingredients there, they're all prepped and ready to go. If you cut everything up ahead of time, I got my water already started to boil there. Everything, all the heat goes on at the same time. And you can make this meal in the time it takes you to make your pasta. It's pretty quick. Just all fries up in the same pan. Just about. I fry the prawns in a separate pan because I like them to be sort of crispy and fried up with the garlic first, and then I put them in. So I guess there's two pans there. Just warm up the garlic. Warm up the pan. You want the pan to be significantly hot before you put the prawns in. When you're frying things, you don't want to use medium heat. You want it to be good and hot. Otherwise, it's just going to cook in its juice. And you really want that juice to sort of sear on instead of boil your food. So I'm letting my garlic get all melted and the butter together. Just sort of keep it in a puddle until it's time. I feel like it's hot enough, and then obviously you want butter spread around the pan so that the prawns don't stick. I already pre-washed these prawns obviously and took the peels off. So just dump that last little bit of water out. Spread them around. I like to keep them sort of even, and then I can flip them all kind of individually. Then that way they get cooked really evenly. So I'm going to start my other pan. Get it all heated up as quick as I can. Melt my butter because I'm going to throw the red pepper and yellow pepper in first and saute that up because I like them to be sort of less moist and a little more cooked than everything else. So that's what I'm going to start with next, the peppers. So I figure this is boiling now. I'm just going to switch it over to the other burner because it'll keep boiling easily enough on a small burner. And I want to use this big burner and heat up my big pan more quickly. Using whole wheat pasta, I think it's better for you. I think people need carbs, so I like pasta, but I'd rather have whole wheat pasta. And break it in half, fits in the pot right away. Looks like my butter is nice and hot on this side. So I'm going to throw on these peppers now. You could put everything in a bowl instead of just on a cutting board, and then you don't have to balance it like I'm trying to do and not have all my tomatoes roll off. Lost one. Alright, so got all the peppers in there. I'm just gonna put my tomato back. Stir it up, make sure that it's not sticking and the butter's all evenly spread. Time to flip the prawns. Prawns don't take very long to cook. They're real easy to cook. Once they get pink, they're pretty much cooked. But again, I'm trying to sear them and and seal in that garlic flavor and get them to be a little bit crispy. So I don't mind if they cook a little bit extra on either side, but I like to flip them and get them evenly cooked right away. Make sure nothing's burning. Turn it up a bit, make sure there's no moisture collecting. Stir the peppers around, get them cooking evenly. That was really hot, so I can turn it down a little bit now. This is a really delicious savory meal. If you like fish and you like pasta, this is a really good meal. It's just simple sauce, and you pretty much don't have to make anything. You just buy the pesto sauce and cut up the vegetables. It's a no-brainer, but it's so good. And if you want to impress somebody, you know, it's one of those meals that they won't see coming. It's ironic. Hardly anybody knows how to make this. It's so good though. Noodles are coming along. Prawns are getting pretty close to done. Once it gets to the point where they're kind of sticking to the pan and the garlic's getting a little more cooked than I prefer. As I said, I don't really like garlic all that well cooked. I like it maybe just slightly cooked and roasted. So I'm pretty sure these are done. I'm going to throw them in here now. I like to use the closer burner, so I'm switching burners again. Gotta make room for my big pan, because my big pot and my big pan don't fit together. Be nice to have a bigger stove one day. Just checking that these peppers are as cooked as I want them to be. I'm gonna turn the heat down now. Throw on all of my prawns, get all these extra delicious garlic bits. Anything, Brad. So next thing, and this is artichokes. I slice them up a little bit and throw them in, get them cooking. Throw in some fresh garlic, because I always like lots of garlic. So that's all pretty good. Don't really need to cook the artichokes. They're just going to heat up with everything else. Time to put the pesto sauce in. This is my favorite brand of lots of things. I like Mezzetta a ton. They got the best garlic stuffed olives, the best jalapeno stuffed olives, and the best pesto. So that's what I'm using today. Mezzetta is the brand. I use quite a bit because it's a lot of vegetables, and you want to have that real strong pesto flavor. Lots of basil, so throwing them. Probably, I guess the last time I made that, I used 2/3 of the jar, so there's only a third left. So I got another jar, so I can put another, third at least in. And then I'll still have enough to make one next time. I guess that's about the ratio I like, 2/3 of the jar. And then once that's in, it's more like a sauce, so you don't really need a high heat. You can turn it right down, and you stir it all together basically. Just let it sit. Put my tomatoes in last because I don't want them to be super cooked. I like them to be whole still. If you cook them for too long, then they get soggy and they burst. So I like them to be just sort of warmed up and ready to burst, but not quite bursting. Because then they burst in your mouth and they're super delicious. I'll leave them whole. Just stir it all up. There's lots of oil in this pesto sauce, so it cooks really easily together. Don't have to worry about it burning. But still, you turn the heat down at this point. You can just have it sort of simmer. Once I put the tomatoes in, I'll just put the lid on top, and it'll simmer and heat up the tomatoes for a bit. And then basically when the pasta's ready, this is ready to go. Oh, and don't forget lots of salt and some good black pepper. You can season afterwards if you want. You probably still add a little bit of salt, but you want that salt in ahead of time too. I like the whole salt and grind it, and it dissolves a little better when you put it in the cooking. Stir the salt and pepper in. Throw in these tomatoes. Just make sure they're gonna get some heat. Put them flat. And the lid on. And just let it simmer for a bit on low heat until your pasta's done. And then when your pasta's done, drain it. Throw the pesto on top and sauce on top. It's absolutely delicious. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. There will be many more videos of this sort. Thanks for watching. I hope you have an awesome day and live your best life.